What's up everybody, welcome back to another one of my videos. Today we're going to be talking about one of my smaller accounts that I've been testing a concept with, being the Grandmaster 4.0. If you watched yesterday's video, you should have seen it yesterday. The Grandmaster 4.0 just kind of released. Our updates that we have been working on this tool have finally kind of come out, and I'm going to show you a little bit more in depth just because I know people will have questions about the account that I have been testing this robot on. But basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to walk you through this account. I'm going to show you the MyFxBook that I've linked with it, and we'll talk about it so far. So what I usually do with this robot, I'll start up my pen here so we can take a look. But generally speaking, what I'm trying to shoot for with this particular robot is looking for 1 to 5% per month, okay? And I know that a lot of people will say, well, that's terrible, but this is mostly passive trading. I'm not really super active with this particular bot. For the most part, it does most of the heavy lifting. If you haven't already seen it, make sure to go watch the full video that I put out yesterday about this tool. But I'm gonna show you, again, my own testing phase that I've been going through with this bot. So I'm really running it actually on 2 pairs at the same time. Right now, I've got it running on CAD Swiss, and I've got it running on dollar Canadian, okay? Both of these pairs are currently, you can see the 2 charts running. I've got the Grandmaster 4.0 bot on both of these charts. And so what I'm gonna be doing is I'm gonna walk you through how things have gone so far. You can see the account I loaded up here started at $2,000. Hopefully you can see, I know that the text is a little bit weird on video, but this says about $2,090 in equity, and at the balance we've got $2,107. Now this started out at $2,000, so that means that this account is up about $100, which to me is really, really good, especially considering that I've only been running this test for about a month and a few days. And so far, the drawdown has been relatively low and the gains have been pretty steady. Again, shooting for 1 to 5% without much intervention. I've barely even watched these sort of trades go off. I've just let the robot do its thing. I've set my parameters and we'll go from there. So let me just show you really quick. If we pull up the actual things here, what we'll notice is that these are kind of the different variables that I currently have set. Now these are my own preferences. If you are an owner of this bot or you have been for a while, I know a lot of you guys who are in the VIP group who use this tool have been kind of toggling and setting your own preferences that you like. But what you'll notice here is that we've got bot can buy turned to true on both the CAD Swiss pair and the dollar Canadian. So it's only taking buys on both of these different charts. Now, on top of that, I'm using 0.01 lots. I'm going very, very conservative with these accounts. A lot size multiplier of 1.0. We're not really using martingale. We're just using a straight up, grid of 0.01 on each buy limit. So far, so good. If you have not already seen it, make sure, again, go check out the full video if you want more in depth on all of the different parameters. But you can see them right here for those of you guys who are using the bot. You can see what I am personally using it on here with CAD Swiss and dollar Canadian. So what we can see here is if we go through, again, right now, about $16 in drawdown to the downside. So I'm down 16.6 bucks. I've got 2 trades open here on the dollar Canadian, which we'll take a look at. You can see it basically took a trade right around here. Looks like that was not the best timing, of course, but we did take a secondary trade right here, which is looking better. So here's trade number 1. Right, and here's trade number 2, both of them being long, looking to see if we can get some upside. But again, the priority of this robot is not to get the perfect timing. This is a grid bot, so basically as this thing kind of scales out, you can see we've got more pending buy limits over here on the left where price will pick up a position if needed, right? And so that's how I'm running it right now. Again, so far so good. I've run bots like these for quite some time. I do like grid trading as part of my trading. It's not my only trading, but I like to have grid trading systems running because they are mostly passive. I don't have to do very much, and they, depending on what you trade, and that's very, important to pick the right parameters and pick a chart and overall pick a decent direction. That can kind of be the deciding factor of whether or not a grid can work. I know that some people love grids, some people really don't, but again, up to the user and whether or not they want to trade like this. Again, this is just one component of my personal trading. So if we go now to CAD Swiss, you can see here's another example. We took a buy trade here, price pulled back just a little bit, so we'll see if we can get a profit. We closed out a profit, I believe, earlier today, somewhere in here. We got a couple, maybe 1 or 2 nice trades actually. That was yesterday's trading. So we'll see if we can get a little bit more closed out here. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to pull up the MyFxBook. We'll see see what that looks like. So here's the MyFxBook that I attached to this account. Again, up about 5.5% roughly. We started out with $2,000 and we've made a profit there of about $107. So really not so bad. The cool thing about this bot, as I usually like about it, is that, you've got a pretty high, win rate, at least with the parameters that I set. Historically, they've done pretty well. Of course, past is not necessarily a guarantee of future results, but it is, looking pretty good here in my own performance. And again, the equity curve looking pretty good overall. You can see the drawdown there being about 3.9% there. So really nothing too crazy. And again, mostly passive. I'm not spending a ton of time trading these bots. I'm just kind of letting them do their thing and occasionally checking in. I usually check in on them like once a day, right? And so that's very, very little interaction from me. And to make, $100 just for running a demo test or kind of a test, it's real money. You can see it is a real Oanda account, but for me, it's not a big amount of money. It's just kind of a test run to see how it goes. Now, I will say if you're interested in trading with a robot, my personal opinion is I don't use a low amount of money. Usually the lowest I would ever put in a robot account would be like $500. But for me, $2,000 is a good kind of test amount. And if it does well, if we see continued growth here on these parameters that I've chosen, then I'll probably scale in more money. Again, going to be heavily dependent on how you choose to run the bot. And I, again, would recommend that you go watch the full video I'll link it in the description so you can go check it out on the actual, full debriefing about how the robot was made and that sort of thing. But I did want to just take some time to show you guys how I'm running it in my own account here, how I plan to continue to run it, right, on low risk, again, shooting for decent risk to reward, decent gains overall, going for that slow and steady approach and not putting a ton of time. This is kind of perfect if you're like me. Right now, I've got somebody else who's joining our team, another analyst. We're putting out videos. I'm doing the business side. I'm doing the customer support side. And this makes it so that I can still trade, but I don't need to spend quite as much time to still be able to be actively trading. Of course, I'm doing my intraday stuff and you guys see me on live here on YouTube. Hello traders, welcome back to another live stream. I am ready again for another stream with you guys, hanging out, talking charts on a Monday through Friday basis. But this just, with all the time that gets thrown out the window doing a million things, it's always nice for me to have something that's kind of just running in the background. And with a background in computer science, it's really nice for me to just have programmed a tool like this that can kind of just chug along and do its thing. And I can kind of just be like a coach of a team here, where every once in a while I just step in and make a call, right? For example, let me give you an example of what I mean by that. Let's say that we got caught up in a couple trades that I didn't like, and the technicals or whatever I'm looking at makes me decide that I'd like to close out the trades. It's really easy. All I would do is I would come into this trade and I would just say, hey, you know what? I don't like this, this dollar CAD trade. I think, we're probably going to see more downside, and I could just theoretically go and close the trades, and the bot would just kind of chug along as I told it to originally. We've redesigned the 4.0 here with the Grandmaster. We've redesigned it to be a lot more adaptive to how, be a little bit more friendly to our users, as we have received quite a few of messages along the way, just with people who are getting confused about things, people who are less familiar with bots. Most people don't have too many issues, but we want to make it as user-friendly as possible. And with the 4.0, we really feel that we've kind of stepped that up and made it a little bit more user-friendly. So, now you can run it on multiple charts at the same time, right? So again, in my example here, I decided to run for the last month and a half or so a CAD Swiss and dollar Canadian pair, both at the same time, both running instances of the bot on that far left. Again, the panel and a bunch of other things have been improved on this version, so make sure to go check out the full video if you want to see all of that in there. Also, if you are interested in this bot, of course, I will link that also down below in the description. You can check that out and get your hands on a copy if this is something that you're interested in, but I highly would encourage you, do your own due diligence. This is not a money overnight machine. This is not a magical thing. This is just a practical tool that I use and have made public to other people to use in their own trading if they choose to do so, if they like to trade with a grid. So check it out, link down below in the description. Have a great rest of your day, guys, and we'll see you back next time.